Ois Gimel. V'hinei hamshocha zu derech klal, in a general way. How do you bring down that level of the Ein Sof? He said the Su'u Yidechem Kodesh, that you bring down the Yid through the two levels of the two Yodayim, the Shema Yisrael, the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusay, Yichudei Elo, Yichudei Tato. How generally do you bring it down? Himashekosu is what the pasuk says. V'hoyu hadvorim ha'ele asher anoichim etzavacha. So these words, we're talking about the words of Torah, that I command you, that is the way to be mamshich. When you learn Torah, you are mamshich from the level of Ein Sof. What is hadvorim ha'ela? He hamshochas haTorah. These words, those are bringing down the Torah. The Torah, those are the words of the Torah. Shehi mevchinas anoichi mamash. Dvorim ha'ela asher anoichi. These words that I, because that is Hashem Himself, mitzavecha, connects. I connect with these words of Torah. Mitzavcha iloshin his kashrus. That is a language of tying down. He hamshochas chochma ilo. That means, how do you tie down with Torah, connect to the Ein Sof? That is hamshochas chochma ilo. That when you bring down chochma ilo, we bring down the level of chochma batzilus through learning the Torah. You bring it down from anoichi. Because Torah comes from chochma. Learning Torah means you're bringing down the level of chochma. What is chochma? Chochma is the b'chinas yud shel shem havaya. That's the yud of the name of Havaya. Shebo mislabish oir ein sof baruch hu mamish ki yedua. Over there dresses up the actually light of the Ein Sof as known. So basically, when you're learning Torah, so you're connecting with the level of Chokhmah that has the Ein Sof, has the Yud of the Shem Havaya, and bringing the Torah down into the world. That's generally speaking, when we talk about the Torah, is the connection, the Anoichi that connects the Yid with the Ein Sof. Achderech Prat, but in a specific way. Hinei Isa b'kavonas kriya Shema. We have in the kavana of the reading of the Shema, Shal Yidei Ramach Hevin Shebekriya Shema Mamshichim b'chinas Ramach Evorim Elohim Libechinas Odom Ha'elyon. When we do the 248 words in the Shema, there are 248 words. Like the Ramach Mitzvah says, there are 248 words in the Shema. Actually, that's why we repeat the word again, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, is because there's short 3, so there's only 345. Together with the 3, you have 348. So that's, we bring down the level of the 248 supreme Evorim, the Evorim that are higher, a level of Keser, Lebechinas Odom Ha'elyon, to the supreme Odom, the Odom which is in the world of Atzilus. So you bring down from the higher into the Odom Ha'elyon. We're talking about the Mus Akise, the Mus Kimare Odom. On the Mus of the Kis Mus Kimare Odom, So to be mamshich to that, the muskim odom. How does it get the image of an odom? An odom is made out of the 248 limbs. So when you're mamshich, the 248 limbs, which is higher than odom, into the odom, that's how you get the musakis and muskim odom. Lahamshich b'chinas odom, the level of odom. Vagam shi efshel levayer lahaskil heitev dover zeh b'protius. Although it is impossible to explain, to really well understand this thing specifically. Why? Because Hashem has no image of a body. Here we're saying we're making up the body of Hashem, we're making up the Odom. But still, since this is the way the Torah talks by using a parable and making it fit in, yesh lanu reshus ledaber bam, we have the right to speak in it. We have the right to speak in a language like that, even though it's hard to explain exactly. So let's understand a little bit, a drop, the moshul and melitza. He's going to explain it now. Gam Razal also Amru. Also the sages, they also say a similar thing. They say, Maile ani aleichem ki ilu asuni. I consider it as if you made me, as if, so to speak, that a Yid is able to make Hashem. What does it mean? He makes Hashem. Maile ani aleichem ki ilu asuni. What does that mean? Basically, a Yid has a great impact in the level of Torah through his learning, through his Rusul Dilatate, through Kriya Shema, through the various avodah of a Yid to bring down a higher level in Torah or a higher level in the spheres, in a higher level to make up the level of Odom. The idea is Yihinek Siv B'Yakov. By Yaakov, the Pasuk says, Vayikra Shmoi Yisrael. So, Pirush Yisrael, what is the meaning of Yisrael? Pirush Yisrael, what is the meaning of Yisrael? It's Li Rosh. Yisrael means you are to me, made up the two words, Li Rosh, which means that the Yidden make up their to me a head. The Yidden are the head. She Yisrael heim ois ha'oisim b'chinas Rosh la'kodesh baruch hu. As if to say that the Yidden, they are the one, Li Rosh, they make me a Rosh. The Hainu, this is all going to explain why the Yidden, why he calls them Imi. Because before he brings down that the Eibishter calls them in the level of Imi. So this explains what is the meaning of Imi. Why is it my mother? It's my mother because they make up. They make up Hashem. And they are like a mother. Because they make up the Rosh LaKodesh Baruch Hu. I know al derech Moshu, by way of example, K'moish yesh berosh moichin Chabad ve'etzem hal gulgoyles ha'chefev ala moichin. Just like in the head, there is the intellect is the inside of the head, and then you have the bone of the skull which hovers and is around the intellect, around the moichin. Kach Yisrael. Likewise, the Yidden Heim HaMamshichim Chinas Moichin. They bring down the level of Moichin, which is Chochma Moicho Ihi Machshava Milgav. What is Chochma? Chokhmah is, as brought down in the Pasuk Eliyahu, that is the level of Moicha, level of intellect, which is the Machshava. That's on the outside. He hamshochas hatoira hamlubeshes begashmis. That means to bring down the Torah that is dressed up physically. That's really this Torah, this physical Torah that we learn in this world is really the level of the supreme Chokhmah. Nobody really human cannot really know its value. And this is all in Torah. So he says, Shalifi Pshutai. In other words, when you look at Torah in the very simple way, it appears that there is no depth really to it. It seems like very simple. Most of the Torah is different stories, and the Torah Shabbal Peh is also very limited. We don't have a full grasp, and we can't really appreciate from the Torah that we learn the depth and the Chokhmah Ilah and the supreme wisdom that is in Torah, because it's like so distant from what we know. Shalifi Pshutai, because when you look simply, in Ekola Mikra Tanakh, Humole Kimat Sibisipurim Isis, the whole Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim is full with stories. It tells you a story. So that's as far as the Torah Shebiksab. The Gam Torah Shabbal Peh halachas. Also, when you look about the oral halachas, Shorsham v'Yisodosom, really they're rooted in Chokhmah Ilah. She Chokhmah Nifla. They are rooted and they're founded from the supreme Chokhmah, which is a wondrous Chokhmah. But she'ein seichel anushi masik taimei Torah v'halachas. A human intellect cannot grasp the reasons for Torah and halachas. Even the tradition, based on tradition, that comes from the scribes, from the Chachamim, and from the Sforim, it's just a little bit that is written by us. And even in the little bit that we do have, there is not sufficient details to explain all the ideas in depth and fully. We don't have that. So this is the level of Torah that we have in Gashmis. This comes from the level of Chacham Moicha to come down into Gashmis. So and this extension to bring down from Chacham Ilah to dress up in the physical matters, Kimoi, as for example, Trumas Umaisres, which is the halachas on the fact of application of giving truma, giving meiser from the grain, and v'sipurei meisius and the stories of Shabbat Tanakh. V'gam hislapshus oid ein sov baruch hu b'chokhmah. Who does this all? He's going to say the Yidden do this. Who brings the Gashmis, the Torah into Gashmis? Who brings oid ein sov in chokhmah? Because even to bring Oid Ein Sof b'Chokhmah, it's a big jump to bring it from higher than Atzilus, to bring it into the level of Sfiras HaChokhmah. It is also a tremendous descent. A Yid has to accomplish that. Why? Because when you talk about the Chokhmah Ilah, the supreme Chokhmah, notwithstanding the fact that it's not a known Chokhmah, it's a much higher Chokhmah, But it's still, it is a level of understanding, of wisdom and grasping. But it is a wondrous hasoga. It's not understanding. It's still, Chokhmah is Chokhmah, and it's like a wondrous understanding. It's very far away from the actual Ein Sof Baruch Hu, from the blessed Ein Sof. He is exalted beyond no end. Who brings down into Chokhmah? That's Lirosh, that's the Yid, make it up. That hinges on the Yidden below. Ayidei Bechinas Su'u Yidechem Kodesh. They raise Yidechem, B'yichud Eloh, B'yichud Dator. They raise their hands of Kodesh to the level of Kodesh, which is higher than Ishtalshalus, and they are the ones that bring down into Chokhmah Eloh. And then they are the ones that bring you down into Gashmis, into the stories of Acharkach. After they raise Yidechem Kodesh, after they practice the level of Yichud Eloh, Yichud Tator, Bittul B'Metzias and Bittul Hayesh, Acharkach vo Yadvorim Ha'ila Asher Anochi Mitzavcha. Then you have that connection. Shal Yidei Zeh, through Yidechem Kodesh, can be Mamshich Asher Anochi Mitzavcha Advorim. Al Yidei Zeh Mamshichim Li Yizgilu Oirin So Baruch Hu Mamash B'Chokhmah. Through this, you extend that there should be the revelation of the Oirin Sof in Chokhmah. Ubechinas, so that's the two levels we said, the Moichin and the Gulgoyles, the Chafyal Rosha. Ubechinas etzem hagulgoyles, hachoyfel rosh, and also the bone of the skull which hovers around the head. Ubechinas harotzin shelamayla mamachin. That's the level of rotzin which is high namachin. So you're mamshich both the moichin, in Chokhmah, and the Gulgoyles, and the higher level, which is Haimichin. Because that Rotzin is higher, that's why it's a Gulgoyles. That's why it's Choyfef al Rosh. It's a skull, it goes around the head, because that's higher than the graspable reason. So it's not a chokhmah, it's above, it's a surrounding, it's soivim. Tiku b'chodesh shoifa. V'zeh mamshich in Yisrael like the bechinas bitl rotzen. How do Yidden get the level of rotzen? That they get through their bittul rotzen, through Yidden subjugating their will. Sheyesh l'chol echad ve'echad b'Yisrael b'china zu. Each and every Yid has this level of subjugating his rotzen. Batil ritzoin chachulu. Subjugate your will to Hashem's will. Every Yid has that. Hagam she'ein le'asoga b'Torah. Even a Yid that doesn't have an understanding in Torah. Gam ein lo hizbainus gedoyla b'nefesh hamaskeles umizbainus b'gdulas Hashem. He also doesn't have that great reflection in his understanding soul to reflect and meditate in the greatness of Hashem. He's not able to widen and to deepen his intellect and understanding. Yet he has the level of bittul rotzen. He has the subjugation to Hashem. Through simple subjugation of his rotzen, without reason and rationale, mamshich rotzin elyon baruch hu. That's how you bring down the rotzin. Through your bittul, you get the level higher rotzin. The Mamer, like we say, Yehi rotzin. Let it be the rotzin. We're making up a rotzin. Oisim ritzoynoi shel mokom. We say, they do Hashem's will, which means they make up that there should be a rotzin in the mokom to be mamshich liyos hamshochas memalech lam b'sevuk lam, to bring about the extension and the will of Hashem, so that it will be memalech lam and b'sevuk lam. So he goes through now that every yid has the level of bittul, and how the yid, through his avodah, through his bittul, and then going down the line through all the midas. We talked here about the intellect, the moichin. We talked about the level of Torah, and we talked about the level of rotzin. That's how you're mamshich, the level of rotzin and the level of Torah. Now, also mamshich all the spheres, starting from chesed. So it goes through vegam, and also you have chesed roya yemina, chesed, which is the right hand. How do we bring that down from the Odom ha'elyon, from the higher madreges? Mamshichin Yisrael ayidei tzedakah v'chesed she'osim lamato. That the Yidden draw down through the charity and the kindness that they do below. Their mamshich the chesed, the droya yemina, the chesed of Atzilus comes through the Yiddens doing the chesed. That's how they make up chesed of Atzilus, their mamshich. Then you have gevura, which is droya smola. That's the left hand. You have the two hands, a human being. That's all in the formation, the way the makeup of a human being. You have the right hand. That's the level of chesed. The left hand is gevura. How does a yid mamshich gevura? Ayidei his gabrus ha'odom neged ritzoynoi v'tivoy. Hanimshech menefesh habahamis, when he goes against his overpowering your want and your nature, which comes from the animal soul. That's how you mamshich gevura, the midas hagevura. B'tiferes gufa. Tiferes is considered the body. That's, you have the right hand, the left hand, then you have the body. He midas harachmonus. That's the measure of compassion. Homu may I loy. My inside are turning to Hashem. Explains. What is it explaining? Is Hine Rachmones he bechinas his spailus. Rachmones, compassion, is a level of excitement. That the soul is very far from the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, because the Eibishter Shehu Achdus, it says Pshut or Poshut? What does it say here?
Poshut.
Shehu Achdus Poshut?
Yes.
Okay, Shehu Achdus Poshut. Ubchinas Rachamim Pshutim. Eibishter is simple unity. And it's simple rachamim. But how Yisrael mamshichim liyis islabshut oirin sobaruch u'midas rachmonis? How do Yidden bring about that the Ein Sof should dress up in the measure of rachmonis, the measure of tiferes, the gufa, that it says al yidei Sukkah de Zimra, that is when they sing the verses of song. The fact that they praise and they exalt Hashem, blessed, Shal Yidei Zem Oirim Lemailo. That how they wake up above, Lahamshich Oirim Sof Lemato, to bring down the Shabbat Lislabesh B'midas Rachmonis, to dress up in the measure of compassion, to be in a level of my insides are turning to Hashem. So that's the level of Tiferes, the level of Rachmanis. Then we come to the level of Netzach V'Hoid, which is Trein Shokin. So we have the hands and we have the body. Now we have the level of Netzach V'Hoid, which are the two thighs. How do we bring down Netzach V'Hoid? Mamshichim al yidei b'chinas nitzuach shebi Yisrael. That is through the level of nitzuach, being victorious or winning. That's in the Yin, the Hainu, which is, what is it meaning to work in a way of nitzuach, he does also if it opposes his wishes and his intellect. He does it in a way, he forces himself, he subdues himself without any reason or understanding. That becomes the service of the person for all day. Also, after the davening shechelef is so that love and desire that came because of his reflection has moved on, has passed. Mikol makom nishar rishimu k'tzas, yet a little bit of a mark remains. The hainu. What is that mark that is made? Ahainu, that is haskama, the agreement, the decision. Sha'ollah b'muskom etzlai. He decided, it came up in his decision, leilech b'derech toivim u'li'yisrachik min hara, that he's going to go in the good way and he's going to stay away from the bad. So he does that with a decision, with a losh of nitzachim. Even though he does not have any more that feeling of that excitement, that has gone. It's after the davening, and yet he's going to force himself. He's going to be netzach, to be victorious, to not to give in. He's going to be going the good way and staying away from evil. And that's why he has this level of nitzuach, the level of victory, even though in understanding, that's the way he decided. That's the level of netzach. Then you have the level of hoidoya. Gam bechinas hoidoya, netzach v'hoid. Hoidoya is moidim anachnu loch. Moidim means to admit to the Eibishter. Li is bottle rotzin ha'elyin baruch hu. To admit and to subjugate yourself to the will of the Supreme Blessed be He. Uli his gaber, and to strengthen yourself neged to'avas Hashem asher sonei, against that abomination what Hashem hates. V'lochein nikro bechinas netzach v'hoid trein shokin. That's why we call netzach and hoid the two thighs. Just like the level of the thighs, by way of example, there is no reason there. It's just forcing yourself netzach by submitting, by applying the mid of netzach and the level of subjugation hodoyah. And it means that Netzach of Yisrael does not lie, which means it's consistent, it carries through. Shebechinas netzach einei chalefes veiveres chulu. The level of netzach does not change, does not pass, it remains. V'ayim hashekos mizeh b'dibur hamaschil eila masei u'bigeres hakodesh dibur hamaschil hovin moshel u'melitza. So we're going down. So we have already Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, and Hoy. And now we're coming to the level of Yisoid. Yisoid is Siyuma de Gufa. That's the end of the body, which is Ois Bris Kodesh. That's the sign of the holy covenant, the Bris. Hu Bechinas Iskashrus. This is the level of Iskashrus. We bring this down from above also into the level of Yisoid, al yidei Iskashrus udveikus Yisrael belekim chayim. That is through tying down and connecting the Yidden in the living God. Shaloi limshech achras chumris gufei v'chumris ha'olam. Not to be drawn after the materialism of the body and the material in the world. And finally, ubchinas malchus, which is peh. Malchus peh, that's the mouth. Al yidei esek haTorah, that is through the occupation of Torah, bepeh, with the mouth. Udevorai asher samti bificha, that is my words that I placed in your mouth. That's the Amshocher, through the peh, the person, v'chol hakodesh v'shoine, and we know that everybody who learns, reads the Chumash or learns the Mishnah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu shoine kenegdoi, the Eibishter reads corresponding. Zehu inyan Amshocha. So this all is the idea of Amshochas b'chinas Odom Elyon. That means to bring down the supreme Odom. Shiur koimo shalamaylo. This is the measure of the story that is above. Hayer shein eses sfiras ha'elyonis. Those are the 10 supreme sfiras. Al yidei eser koiches hanefesh, through the 10 powers of the soul. Shabahen va'al yodom, through the 10 powers of the soul. Nimshach oirei sof baruch hu v'yislabish be'eser sfiras ha'elyonis. That brings down the Ein Sof to dress up in the 10 supreme spheres. So in other words, the Yid brings down all these creation, all the spheres, the entire Atzilus, all the spheres. He's mamshich from the Adam, from the higher level, into the spheres ha'elyonis. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls Yisrael imi, like my mother, just like the mother is mashpia. Over here, they're mashpia into the level of Atzilus, and that's why it's called Imi.